Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today we're going to be talking about the three things that affect your weight loss and your metabolism the most. So we're going to be talking about 1, your metabolism, 2, your hormones, and then 3, your lifestyle. Plus I've added a few little bonuses in here that we can use to combat this to help you get the weight off, reset your metabolism, help you gain energy back. So first, we have to understand what is going on. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, and hopefully some of this will resonate with you in order to understand, like, why are you struggling? Why are you having all of these issues? And please comment below if you have any questions. I'm more than happy to answer them. But these are just kind of questions that I get from my patients all the time, so I wanted to make this video. So when we talk about metabolism, we define this as the rate at which we burn calories. So that could be 100 calories per hour, that could be 200, 300. It really depends on your diet, your lifestyle, how active you are, how much you're exercising. And what this is typically mediated by is caloric consumption. So how many calories are you eating a day? Because it actually takes energy to formulate energy or to create energy. So eating more can actually spike up your metabolism, and a lot of people don't understand that, especially when it comes to hormones like insulin. And meal timing is essential as well, because if you're eating all the time and you're activating your pancreas and digestive enzymes and stomach, that can have a really big effect. Not only can it affect your caloric consumption, your ability to break down those foods, but it can also affect just how much inflammation you have and how much stress you're putting on the organ. So that is something that is a little bit different that we'll talk about when we go to remedies a little bit later. But meal timing, like how often are you eating? Are you eating every 3 hours, 4 hours? Are you only eating once a day? Are you eating every other day? Are you doing intermittent fasting? All of those play a big role in it. Now, I marked hormones on here as well, which we're going to talk about. But hormones, especially your thyroid hormone and testosterone and estrogen, can really affect your metabolism, because obviously if you have more testosterone, you're going to put on more muscle mass, you're going to have higher energy uses, you're going to be utilizing that muscle a lot more. So thyroid in general can affect your metabolism and the rate that you are carrying out metabolic processes. But this really affects more people from an energy standpoint than it does necessarily like a fat gain standpoint. And as we'll talk about later, but when your activity levels go down because of your thyroid hormone, then you're ultimately going to gain more adipose tissue. But a little bit about that later. And then the next thing is your nutrient and mineral, how much you actually have in your body. Because if you are nutrient or mineral deficient, then you can't carry out certain metabolic processes. Like you have to have B6 for some of these catecholamines and for some of these hormones that you're going to create. Without them, then you can never make thyroid hormone, you can never make testosterone, you can never make estrogen. So if you're deficient in any of those, it's going to throw off the whole cascade. And it's kind of like you're getting stuck in the manufacturing cycle. You may have plenty of shoelaces, but you don't have any soles in order to complete the shoe. And so then you just have all of these incomplete processes or all of these incomplete shoes, and nobody's happy because you can't do anything with them. And then obviously it's going to be affected by adipose tissue. Now, with that, the more adipose tissue you have, the more estrogen you're going to create. And the more estrogen that you have, it's, especially if you're a man, it's going to affect, one, how you feel. It's going to affect your emotions. You're going to be kind of rampant and all over the place. So the more adipose tissue, the more that this starts cascading and snowballing, and the harder it is to overcome. So that's basically a lot of the factors that you need to think about when you're talking about metabolism. And this will play a little bit more, like I said, once we get down to how do we actually boost the metabolic rate and boost metabolism. So now the next thing that affects this is your sex hormones. So like we talked about, how much testosterone do you have? How much estrogen do you have? How much progesterone do you have? Because testosterone is kind of the key there. If we can really optimize our testosterone pathways, and it's really essential for women too, that is optimized, because that's going to help you with your sex drive and it's going to help you with your motivation. So if you're feeling like your motivation is down, if you feel like your sex drive is down, you want to look at testosterone. Is it in an optimal range, not just a functional range that your doctor says everything is fine? You have to really look at that from a functional standpoint and an optimal standpoint. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have these issues. Now, there's neurohormones, so that looks like brain hormones, catecholamines, norepinephrine, epinephrine. All of these play a big role, especially when it comes to your stress hormone, cortisol. And if these are taxed all the time, and if you're running out of these, especially if you're producing a lot more cortisol, which actually steals away from your sex hormones, then not only does it affect your sex hormones, but it also affects your thyroid hormone, which then creates this huge cascade where you're putting on more adipose tissue. And if you need a further deep dive into that, let me know and I can make a video. But I want to try to keep this as basic as possible for you. So, measuring your hormones is something that you definitely need to do to kind of see where they're at, with cortisol being the main one. And then metabolism hormones, this is mainly your thyroid hormone. So how is your T3? How's your T4? How is your TPO antibodies? There are a lot of different things that you need to look at when it comes to thyroid to make sure that there's nothing going on. However, a lot of people make this mistake, and they'll put people on Levo or Synthroid or some of these other alternative medications in order to address the thyroid. But did you know that your thyroid only makes 20% of your thyroid hormone? Yeah, so the liver is where almost 60% of your conversion from T4 to metabolically active T3 occurs. And that's why I kind of did a spoiler alert. But when it comes to addressing thyroid hormones, a liver detox is the most essential part of that. So a lot of people are addressing this and they're still getting all this adipose tissue and they're taking all these thyroid meds when they don't necessarily fix the root cause of the problem. Because if you could fix 60% of what you have going on now, how happy would you be? Probably pretty happy. But you're only addressing that very small 20%, and that's why people are still having these issues. Now, another thing, and this is huge, especially if you live in America or another, kind of like first world place, is that lifestyle. If you're under chronic stress, so if you're not doing adaptogens like ashwagandha, rhodiola, if you're not taking alpha lipoic acid or berberine to control your cortisol and your blood sugar levels, this is going to destroy your sex hormones, and it's also going to destroy your thyroid hormone. So being able to get out of that chronic stress, having times of day or ways to mitigate that is essential. Now, for me, I do that mostly through supplementation and diet, because otherwise most people can't necessarily reduce their at-home stress or their job stress. So usually food and supplementation are the easiest ways to do that. Now, if you can reduce those things, that's great. But if you live in America, it's probably not true. Lack of sleep is another one, because you're never getting into that restful stage. And that's when a lot of your growth hormone comes out. That's a lot when all of your brain stimulates all of these hormonal cascades and tells them to produce. So that's when you're making a lot of your testosterone, estrogen, and thyroid hormone. So if you're having sleep issues, then that is a huge reason why your hormones and metabolism are being affected as well. The next thing is sedentary lifestyle. I really don't have to speak too much on that. You understand it. And diet, nutrition. I talk to a lot of people that don't necessarily understand what a proper diet and nutrition is. And so we have an app that does all of that for you. No matter what your goals are, if you're doing intermittent fasting or if you want to just follow like a Mediterranean diet, which I'll tell for most people is appropriate, that is basically everything that you need to do. So we can help you out with that. Just send me a message, or if you want to, I'll put a link below. You can take kind of like a personalized questionnaire to see what you need to do from a diet, nutrition, and supplemental standpoint. Something that's pretty cool that we've been working on, and it's finished. So I'll put the link for that below. Now, kind of the nitty gritty, you're like, Dr. Strong, that's great. You kind of just, spat a lot at me about what's going on, about how do we fix it. So here's the basics. So you want to make sure how much sugar are you consuming. You should measure that. You should honestly take a week, see how much sugar you're consuming, because that is a huge factor when it comes to addressing any type of metabolism, lifestyle, hormonal issues. But basically consuming healthy fats, this looks like your unsaturated fats. This looks like your saturated fats are actually good for you. You just want to avoid any trans fats, okay? So anytime you see trans fat on something, stay away from it. It doesn't get any more simple than that. The next thing is protein consumption. You need to get to where you're doing, especially if you're just maintaining, at least half your body weight in protein a day, if not like 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. Now for me, I try to do like 1 gram per pound of body weight, and that's hard. That's really hard for me. So I don't expect you to do that unless you're like a bodybuilder or something, but that is where you need to hit with that. Intermittent fasting. Now, I tell most people to do it a little bit differently. Some people tell you to do it all day or like all week. I tell most of my patients just to do it 2 days a week. Start out with that, see how you feel, get accustomed to it. It's typically a little bit easier. And then if you start feeling better, you can go to 3, 4, 5 days a week. But most of my patients do pretty well with doing it just 2 days a week. Now, the next thing is exercise. Just do Tabata. Type in Tabata, look it up. It's super simple. It's what I do almost every day because it only takes 10 minutes. True Tabata only takes 4 minutes. Do that once or twice a day and you're going to be set, okay? You don't need weights. You can do it all at home. There's plenty of YouTube videos. Maybe I'll make some on here eventually of what I do, but it's the simplest and easiest way. Now, what are some natural remedies that I can use in order to fix this? Well, add like a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar to your water in the morning or before your meals is a great way to help with that. There are a lot of good benefits of apple cider vinegar that are coming out. I'm sure you've heard them before. Green tea, and substitute that for coffee for sure is a great way, but use that instead of like a stimulant, an energy drink or anything like that to help with, those cravings or like those energy depressed times, and that can be a great tool. Ginger and turmeric, so there are like a lot of ginger and turmeric teas. You can add that into your meals. Those are great tools because they're going to bring down inflammation, help curb appetite responses, and overall they're just very anti-inflammatory. Now, the key part to this that I think a lot of people don't understand, there's one thing that can address all of this, and it's a liver detox, okay? Because like I said, where does 60% of your thyroid get converted? In your liver. Where do all of the biotransformation of your sex hormones happen? In the liver. Not all of it, I shouldn't say that, but a majority of it. Now, how does your body detoxify, get rid of inflammation? How does it process fat? It's all in the liver. Most of you probably have some sort of liver congestion. Your body's overly toxic. It's not processing hormones like it should. And so this is the easiest way that I can tell people. We have people do detoxes all the time and they lose probably anywhere between 20 to 30 pounds by the time they complete it. Now, some of those can look like 28 days, some of them can look like 60 days, some of them can do 90 days, but overall they have the same principle. Okay, I know that's a lot of information. If you all have any questions or you want me to dive into anything further, or if you're looking for help, I'm going to put the link to the specialized questionnaire below. It's going to spit out a supplement recommendation for you. You'll get access to our app so that you can go through and check it out and see everything, okay? So hope this was helpful. I look forward to seeing you all next time, and go from there. Bye.